Okay, back on the Tesla coil build. And if you remember what that looked like from the previous video, you will have remembered a giant rat's nest right around there because that wire from Remington was all twisted and knotted up inside of there. And not only that one that I had to unwind about 100 feet of wire to untangle, but a little while later it did it again and again. 4 different times. 4 different times that was tangled. I had to unwind it, untwist and undo the tangles, and then rewind it. But I finally got it, and I got it coated. It's got the epoxy coating on it now. It's all nice and smooth. That was using this stuff right there. Sorry for my camera work. That's what they recommend, glaze coat. And now it's not perfect. I got a few little fish eyes. I guess that's a fish eye. And right in here, the wire looks a little bit, I don't know if wavy is the right word, but this is right where the tangle was. So there's a few little gaps in the wire, and you can see the PVC pipe in between it. So right about there was where the biggest mess of the tangle was. Down here was almost perfect. Had one tangle here. But most of this looks perfect. It's nice and smooth. Thinking about maybe a second coat, but I don't really think it needs it. But that's the end. It'll go to the toroid, and then of course that'll go to the base there. So once I got it wound, one thing you got to do is measure the inductance. Now I don't have an LCR meter. I don't have an inductance meter. But I do have this. Now this is a cheap China-made component tester, and it's pretty decent. It's pretty good for what it is. But when I would check inductance with this, it's like I couldn't trust it. I'm sure it got me in the ballpark. So what I did then, I borrowed from my work. I borrowed a function generator and oscilloscope from work. I found this circuit online where you basically put a sine wave. This is the inductor, the coil. This is a resistor. My resistor was 1023 ohms, and probably that one. And basically you set up a sine wave for a voltage. I picked 20 volts. So using the oscilloscope, I measured across here, got the 20 volts, and then I took the oscilloscope and put it across here. And I adjusted the frequency until the voltage was 10. And whatever that frequency was, you put into the formula here. So inductance, that's the resistor, times, and that's square root of 3. I have no idea why. Again, I got the formula online. Square root of 3 divided by pi squared, or not pi squared, 2 pi, sorry, 2 pi, square root of 3, 2 pi times whatever the frequency was. And that gives you the inductance. So at first it was a little bit high, and I took a few windings off, and then I was good. And so then, once I got the inductance correct, I taped up each end, and I took it off of the lathe, and I reconnected it back to the oscilloscope and the oscilloscope and a function generator again, and to check the resonating frequency. And as best as I could tell, that was right where it should have been. So my resonating frequency is good, my inductance is good, and when I double checked with this was reading, I don't know, this was reading about 3 or 4 millihenries high, but I trust this better. But this just kind of gave me a sanity check that I was at least in the ballpark with the formula. Again, I've never done anything like this. This is a little bit beyond my comfort level and skill set, so I'm hoping it's close enough. It'll either work or it won't. If it doesn't work, then I'll just buy a new one from Eastern Voltage Research. They sell them for 150 bucks or 155. Right now I'm about 50 bucks in material-wise, total about 50 bucks in. That was about 20 or 25, but I only used a fraction of it. And the wire was 30 bucks, but I only used half of it. And PVC is maybe 10 bucks or so. So I'll try it. The only concern I have is that it's about an inch too short. It's supposed to be 18 inches from here to here, and mine is 17 inches. And I think that's because, again, I think Remington screwed me over twice, because it's supposed to be heavy build. Notice it says heavy. When you look at the dimensions for heavy, basically heavy build just means that it was coated with epoxy twice. The difference between normal and heavy is less than a thousandth of an inch. I mic'd this out, and as best as I can tell, now my tools are not that accurate, but as best as I can tell, this is not heavy build. And with less than a thousandth of an inch difference in diameter over a few thousand turns, about 16 or 1700 turns, that would have given me my inch back. So that's another reason why I think it was not heavy build. Even though I ordered heavy build, and that says heavy build right there, I think they screwed me over twice. They gave me one that was all tangled and knotted and labeled as heavy when it wasn't. Again, if any of you work for Remington, you can just leave your apology in the comments, and I'll accept it. That'll be fine. But that should be fine. Again, if it doesn't work, I'm not going to rewind a new one. I'll just buy one at that point. I wound one. I can say I wound one. I have the experience of winding one. This is my first one I've ever done. I have no desire to wind another one. So if it doesn't work, I'm just going to buy one. So next step is to build a toroid. Now the toroid, I'm going to do the cheap and easy way with this stuff. I've seen a few people do this on YouTube. If this works, they basically just bend a donut out of this and then cover it with aluminum tape. Aluminum tape there. If it works, then maybe I'll buy an actual one. So let me get that all done with the toroid done. We'll set it up and see what it looks like from there. Okay, just a quick update. I changed that. I had that wire connected with a clip here, similar to the way the wire's clipped on here. But Eastern Voltage Research saw a photo of that, and they said that's no good because it'll arc to the secondary. So they recommended I take the wire and stick it into the copper tubing and solder it there. This is a piece of PVC drain fitting bolted to the plexiglass top. I'm using nylon bolts, and I drilled holes along the side for nylon bolts to screw the secondary into there. That notch cut out, we'll see what that's for later. That's basically to make room for the wire from the secondary to pass through. And so let's go look at that secondary. So this is what's going to go through that notch. So you can see I took the wire, put it through a hole here, and then soldered that to the end of this wire. I've got a connector here to go to the ground lead through the base. So that's just soldered on here, held in place with a clamp and nylon hardware, and drilled holes here for the nylon bolts to then screw it to that base. So that notch was for that to slide into. I don't know if it's okay to use metal hardware here or not. That's why I'm using all nylon hardware. I was looking at these on Eastern Voltage's website, and they mentioned on one of their end caps they're using a fiberglass bolt. So that kind of made me think, and maybe metal in some areas isn't good, so I'm using all nylon. The other end of that for the toroid is this cap here, and I just drilled and threaded holes for nylon bolts. Oh, and by the way, for measuring the resonating frequency using a function generator and oscilloscope, I said I did it, but I didn't really explain or say anything about that. Eastern Voltage Research on their website, they've got a perfect video and step-by-step instructions on how to measure the resonating frequency. So you can check their video out. So check their videos for measuring the resonating frequency. So the toroid is almost done. There's the top view and the bottom view. So as you can see, it's just dryer duct on a piece of wood and aluminum tape. I got the top of it all taped up and I ran out of tape. I just got a couple more rolls of tape, so I'm going to finish that. And so basically, all I got to do, the only thing left to do is to finish it. So let me get this finished. Let me get the secondary on. Let me get that mounted on the secondary, and then we should be good for a test, maybe. So we'll get back to you when it's all ready. Okay, so it's ready to take outside and test. Actually, I need to blow it all off. There's a lot of dust and debris and stuff that got in there during the manufacturing and assembly process. I think that's what that big arc was last video. I think a stray piece of little wire from like when I was trimming wire ends or something fell in there. Because I noticed when I was doing some wiring, I saw some scraps fall in, and I told myself I need to blow it all off before I plug it in, and I forgot to do that. So I think that big snap, that big arc from the last video was a stray piece of wire that got blown into something hot from the cooling fan, because I searched around there and I could not find anything, and it was still producing 300 volts after that. So I'm thinking that's all it was. So I still need to blow it all off. Of course, I'll do that outside. There's the toroid installed. Again, a nylon bolt coming in through the nut on it. And that is going through just a plumbing end cap. And I got another nylon bolt. I know the lighting is horrible, probably can't see that. And the wire here is right there, and that's just being pinched between the top of the tube and the bottom of the toroid. And that should be good enough. And there's a breakout point here, just a 5-inch length of copper wire taped on it. Again, this is a cheapo version of making a toroid out of dryer duct and aluminum tape, but it should work. And if this whole thing does work, then I'll probably look into replacing that with something that doesn't look as janky. I mean, it doesn't look bad. I've seen worse. But, and you know, I kind of like the homemade look. It just kind of proves to people that, yeah, I made that. But I don't know. If this thing works, then I might replace it with something nicer. Which at this point, honestly, I have no clue if this is going to work or not. I would actually be, to be completely honest with you, I would actually be a little bit more surprised if it does work than if it doesn't work. And full disclosure, I did not do the little adjustable inductor on the controller. On that control board, there's an inductor that you're supposed to fine tune to tune the phase lead or something like that. I did not do that because for now I'm giving up trying to figure it out. It's in a halfway point. What my plan is just plug it in, see what it does. I'm not going to run it for long, just a few seconds, just to see what it does. If I get a really weak, crappy arc, then what I'm thinking about doing, I've got a ceramic screwdriver to adjust that. I might just tape that to a long stick and tune it while I'm running it, maybe, I don't know. Or I'll look into the procedure for adjusting it properly a little bit better later. But for now, I just want to plug it in, see if it does something. So, yeah, next view will be out in the driveway and see what it does. All right, it's all plugged in and ready to go. So, man, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. There goes nothing. It's not arcing, but it's definitely buzzing. So I'm not getting an arc, but it is definitely doing something. Alright, well, I'm going to shut it off and do some investigating and see what I can figure out. So I feel like I'm missing something really basic and stupid. It's making a cool noise, which is better than nothing. Maybe. I hope it's better than nothing. If any of you have any ideas, so I'm going to leave this video. I'm going to end this video for now because I have no idea how long it's going to take to actually get it to work. It does make an arcy noise, but as you saw, it's not making any actual arcs or sparks. So it's a good thing there's no sparks from down here. So nothing happened here, which is good, but also nothing happened there, which is kind of disappointing. So again, if you have any ideas, I just feel like I'm missing something basic, stupid. So if you have any ideas, let me know. And once I get it working, once I test it again, I'll put another video out showing that. Hopefully that'll be sooner than later. So until then, until next time, thanks for watching.